Here's my Invisible Woman deck explained a little bit more. So we've got Invisible Woman as the commander. She's also in the pre-con. I liked her because she has the 4 colors, and Invisible Woman's pretty cool. So at the beginning of combat on our turn, if we've cast a non-creature spell this turn, we create a 0/3 colorless wall creature token with Defender and Reach. Whenever we attack, we may pay a red, green, white, blue. When we do, target creature gets +1/+0 till end of turn for each creature you control and can't be blocked this turn. So I got a few things that can buff in this, but can also make tokens. And that makes her a little more devastating for the commander damage, especially since she can't be blocked as long as we've got 4 mana held up. One of each of those colors there. So to start off, let's go through a few generic cards here. Sort of. Not really generic, but we got Hulkling, Young Avenger. He's got flying. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Hulkling becomes a copy of up to 1 other target creature until end of turn. Except his name is Hulkling, Young Avenger, and he's a 4/4, and he has flying in this ability. So what I like to do is, we do have quite a few non-creature spells in here. I like to cast one of those and have him become a copy of Invisible Woman. So at the beginning of combat, I get 2 0/3 colorless wall creature tokens with Defender and Reach. We've also got Multiversal Recruitment. So in itself, it's a non-creature spell. And we get to create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it isn't legendary. Again, I normally like to target Invisible Woman for that. That way we get another wall token. Of course, you could copy anybody in the deck, but it's also got Flashback for 5 and 2 blue. A little hefty, but hey, something to cast. Just for fun, we've also got Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. He's got Reach. Whenever 1 or more tokens you control enter, you may draw a card. So we got a little bit of card draw there. We put all the Fantastic Four in here. I'll tell you why in a sec, if you don't already know. We've got Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, Lifelink. And whenever you put 1 or more +1 counters on 1 or more other heroes you control, you may create a 0/4 colorless wall creature token with Defender. So some more token generation there. We've got Human Torch, Johnny Storm. He's got flying. Whenever you draw a card, if you control another hero, Human Torch deals 1 damage to each opponent. We've also got a power up, 6 in a red, to put 3 +1 counters on Human Torch. And we've got the Thing, Ben Grimm. Last of the Fantastic Four here. He's got Trample, and whenever 1 or more heroes you control deal damage to a player, put 2 +1 counters on the Thing. So the thing about this is, I kind of just found out about it. Some may know already, some may not. Basically, you've got an infinite loop here. I guess it's a finite loop, because you can, all of them are May abilities, or some of them are May abilities, so you could stop the loop at any time, usually after you win. But basically, let's say we started off with, the card draw. So you draw your card, or any of them can start the loop. Draw your card. They're going to deal 1 damage to the... Human Torch will deal 1 damage to the opponent. So Human Torch is dealing it. That's a hero. And because a hero dealt damage to a player, Thing will put 2 +1 counters on himself. And because we put 1 or more +1 counters on 1 or more other heroes we control, we could create a 0/4 colorless wall creature with Defender. And because we created a token, we may draw a card. And because we drew a card, we do a damage, we put the +1 tokens on. So it's a cool little synergistic combo. Is it likely I'll pull it off? No. because they'll let people know it's in the deck and they're going to get rid of one of these. But they're still fairly synergistic with each other, even with just 2 of them or 3 of them on the board. You know that they're going to at least trigger each other, and it's some good value there. And it's the Fantastic Four. So we got a bit of card draw here, just a little bit. We've got Everett K. Ross. Commander creatures you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. There's not too much life stuff in here, but there's a couple of creatures that care about life gain, and it just helps out a little bit. We've also got whenever an opponent attacks us with 2 or more creatures, we're going to draw a card. So nice little card draw there. We've got Miss Marvel, Elastic Ally. So she's got reach, and when she enters, target creature gets +2/+0 till end of turn. Whenever a creature you control with power greater than its base power deals combat damage to a player, we're going to draw a card. It only triggers once, but hey, it's card draw. We've got Tippy Toe, Terrific Partner. If you would create 1 or more tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional food token. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, draw a card. So we could get it from the life gain or life link that we have from Everett, but most likely it'll be from making food tokens and eating them. And we've got Horn of Greed. Just because I thought the art was really cool. Is it really big and beneficial in this deck? No. We've got 3 ways to search for lands and put them on the battlefield, so that's only, a bit better that way. Anytime you play a land, you'll be getting a card, so whenever a player plays a land, that player draws a card. You'll also be benefiting the opponents. If your opponents are playing a landfall type deck, you probably don't want to throw this on the board because they'll get way more value out of it. But it's one way to get some card draw, and I thought the art looked really nice, so that's why it's in there. So next up, we're going to look at a little bit of ramp here. We've got Luke Cage, Hero for Hire. So he's got Trample, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, we're going to create a treasure token. So Tippy Toes does care about that, because then you could make a food token. And treasure is very nice because, well, it's treasure. You got mana. We've also got Giant Man, Gargantuan Genius. He's got reach. At the beginning of our first main phase, we're going to add green mana for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. There are quite a few in here with power 4 or greater, and many of them that aren't can potentially become 4 or greater with some of the power-ups and things like that. We've also got Soul Ring, standard ramp, add 2 colorless when you tap it. We've got an Arcane Signet, again, tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. We've got a Patchwork Banner, so we're going to choose a creature type. Type we're going to choose is Hero. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1, and we can tap it to add a mana of any color. We've also got Monologue Tax, because we all know how villains love to monologue. And whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure. So another way of getting a token and treasure. These are some ones that can help with the Horn of Greed, but I wouldn't rely on that. I'd rely more on the ramp itself. And if you have Horn of Greed at the time that you're using it, well, good for you. You're going to draw 2 cards then, hopefully. But we got Farseek. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain and put it into the battlefield tapped and shuffle. We've got Restorative Technique. So target player gains 2 life and then searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield tapped, then and shuffle, and then we're going to put a +1 counter on up to 1 target creature. So we got a bit of a buff there as well. And a tiny bit of life gain. And we've got Terramorph. Terramorph is nice because we get to search our library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle. So it doesn't even come into play tapped. So that's pretty nice. And it's also got a rebound. So when we cast it from our hand, we exile it as it resolves. And at the beginning of our next step, we can cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. So it's nice because when you cast this, it's a non-creature spell. Invisible Woman will trigger. And then the next turn on your upkeep, you're casting a non-creature spell again. So you've already cast one without even worrying about using mana. And then you'll be getting that 0/3 wall again. Here are some generic people. We've got Wolverine, the best there is. We're going to double all damage you would deal. And at the beginning of each end step, if Wolverine dealt damage to another creature this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on him. And if you pay 1 and a green, we get to regenerate Wolverine. So it's really good to hold up that mana. You can attack or you can block with him. And it's each end step. So if you block something, even if it's bigger and you were able to regenerate him, you get that +1 counter. So you can help him grow. We've got Lucky, the pizza dog. So whenever we cast a cat, dog, or hero spell, create a food token. So as you can imagine, most of the creatures in here are like 99%, probably 98% are heroes. So we're going to be creating food tokens. So that's great. We could pay to eat them or sack them. And at the beginning of each end step, if he gained life this turn, we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on Lucky. So he just helps himself grow, but we also get some life gain out of that. Everett's life gain will help with that too. We've also got Dog Meat, Constant Companion. It's a reskin of Yoshimaru. Whenever another legendary permanent you control enters, we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on Dog Meat. And because this is Universes Beyond, we do have a lot of legendary creatures. So that's going to help out with Dog Meat getting big. Nice and cheap, especially if you get them out early. We've got Big Bertha. She could get big real fast. She's a green and X. So she's got vigilance and she enters with X +1 counters on her, depending on how much you put in that. And then later on, you could pay 1 and a green and tap her to put a +1 counter on her, which is pretty nice. It's probably a lot nicer to buff her right away, but you always have that option. We got the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. So do you like squirrels? Whenever the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl enters or attacks, we're going to create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. And I love squirrels. If you pay 1 and green, we're going to create X 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens, where X is the number of squirrels you control. This can grow pretty quick. It doesn't seem like it at first, but you can grow pretty quick. And what's nice about all these squirrel tokens, aside from having an army of squirrels that you can attack with, Invisible Woman, her second ability, does care about how many creatures you control. So if you have a lot of squirrels and you use her ability with the red, green, white, blue, and make her unblockable, she'll get +1/+0 for every creature. And you can go right to doing commander damage depending on how many squirrels you create here. So she could be pretty dangerous in that sense. We've also got Primal Vigor. So if 1 or more tokens would be created, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. That's good for all those tokens, like the treasure, the squirrels, the food. If 1 or more +1 counters would be put on a creature, twice that many +1 counters I'm put on it. So again, we've got some +1 counter stuff going on, and when we get to the power-ups, there are lots of +1 counters there. The only downside is this does affect your opponents, so if they're using a deck that really relies on +1 counters and tokens, you might rethink about putting this down on the battlefield. But it's got cool art. So we're going to go to what I'd like to call buffs. We got Agent Phil Coulson. When he's got Vigilance, and when you tap him, you put a +1 counter on each other hero you control. So you could start making your other guys really big. Slowly but surely. We've got Captain America, Team Leader. Whenever another hero you control enters, it gains Vigilance and Haste till end of turn. Put a +1 counter on that hero and a +1 counter on Captain America. Now this was the commander in one of the other commander decks as well. But it fits real nice in this hero deck. To give them Vigilance and Haste until end of turn. Nice. +1 counter. Nice. And he gets one too. And nice. We've also have She-Hulk, Wallbreaker. A little bit expensive, but she's got trample. Other heroes we control have trample. And whenever a hero you control becomes blocked, you put a +1 counter on that hero for each creature blocking it. So it's a bit of a buff there for being blocked. This will work well with Wolverine there to regenerate. So we'll get a +1 counter from being blocked by creatures. You can regenerate him, and he'll get a +1 counter at the end of the turn. We've got Heroic Feast. This one's only good if you're able to get Tippy Toe or Lucky out. Because when it enters, we do get to create a food token. So whenever we gain life, we choose up to that many target creatures we control and put a +1 counter on each of them. So again, Tippy Toe and Lucky are the way to go. Taking this out. I mean, you could bring it out and hope to get them. That other Everett K. Ross, he's got that lifelink. So does that one Wonder Woman. So those could trigger it as well. But there's not a whole ton of stuff in here. So it's better when you have those things on the board. We've also got Unnatural Growth, because why not? At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. That'll be nice for some combat tricks, aside from the sheer power of attacking. It's for each combat, so even defending. We've got Beast Mode. Speaking of combat tricks, it's got Teamwork 1. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you can tap any number of creatures you control with total power 1 or more. Probably just one creature. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains trample till end of turn. Also put a +1 counter on that creature if this spell was cast using Teamwork. It's a nice little surprise for people. Captain America, Living Legend. It's got Vigilance. And whenever a creature you control becomes tapped during your turn, if it's the first time that creature has become tapped this turn, untap it. That's great for attacking. It's almost like your creatures will have Vigilance. It's also good for Phil Coulson, who you tap to put a +1 counter, so you can actually use them twice. We've also got Storm, Force of Nature, because we do have quite a few. I think we've got 19 in total instants and sorceries together. She's got Flying and Vigilance, but she's also has whenever Storm deals combat damage to a player, the next instance or sorcery spell you cast this turn has Storm. So you could get double value out of some of these spells that you cast. And a lot of them are, I think a lot of the instants and sorceries are fairly cheap. I put cheap ones in this deck. Cheap mana costs, I mean. So could work out pretty good. Let's see some of the protection we've got. We've got Spider-Man to the rescue. It's got Flash, Vigilance, and Reach. When Spider-Man enters, you may tap him. When you do, another target non-attacking creature you control gains indestructible till end of turn. So not good for your attackers, but it's good for if somebody's targeting it during any other time, or even during combat if you were defending. We've got Lightning Greaves. So equipped creature has haste and shroud, so nobody can target it, not even you. Equip cost is 0. We've got Take Up the Shield, so we're going to put a +1 counter on target creature. It gains lifelink and indestructible till end of turn. Nice little trick. There's a bit of lifelink there too, I guess. We got Call Damage Control. So we get to choose up to 2, return those cards from our grave to our hand. We can target an artifact card, creature card, enchantment card, or a land card. So it's pretty versatile in what you can choose. Here's the part where I'd like to call getting into the removal. There might be a bit much here, but is it though? We have Rhino, Terrible Trampler, because I think Rhino's cool. So he's got Trample. That's good for a Terrible Trampler. When Rhino enters, we're going to destroy target artifact or land. So there's the removal right there. And then we get to distribute 3 +1 counters among up to 3 other target creatures. They gain Trample till end of turn. So it gets a little bit of a buff there as well. We've got Path to Exile. We're going to exile target creature. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Obviously a great removal spell. Another thing you could do, though, is you could target one of those maybe squirrels that you made if you want to ramp a little bit and bring a land in. I guess it could trigger the Horn of Greed that way as well. We got Sudden Strike. So we could destroy target attacking or blocking creature, make them pay for attacking you, or make them pay for blocking. We've got Spectacular Tactics. So we choose one, put a +1 counter on target creature you control, gains hexproof till end of turn, so a bit of protection there. And destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. So I usually use it for the removal, but you do have the option of protection. We've got Wolverine, Fierce Fighter. So he's got haste, and when Wolverine enters, he fights up to 1 other target creature. He's only a 3/5, but you can still remove something a bit smaller. And if damage would be dealt to Wolverine, instead that damage is dealt, but all other damage already dealt to him is healed. It makes him a little bit tough to get rid of, unless you take him outright. We've got Hulk Smash. So it's an instant. We could do this during combat. It's got Teamwork 4. So we choose one. If the spell was cast using Teamwork, we get to choose both. So we could destroy target non-creature artifact. And we've got target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. So we don't even have to fight it. We can just do our damage to the other creature and get rid of it. We've got Go Nuts. It's got Teamwork 3. Sorry about that. The sun just, I've got no curtains. The sun's just coming in here like crazy. So we choose one. If this spell was cast using Teamwork, we choose both. We get to put a +1 counter on target creature. And target creature you control fights target creature and opponent controls. This one's a sorcery, though. We've got It's Clobbering Time. It's got, so you choose one. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. Or we destroy target artifact or enchantment. What's nice is it has rebound. So just like the Terramorph, you will be exiling it after you cast it from your hand. And during your upkeep, it will cast again. So you can either remove something again, and it'll also trigger the non-creature spell that you're casting this turn, and Invisible Woman. We've got Punishing Punch. It's an instant, so you can do it during combat. It costs 2 less to cast if there are 2 or more creature cards in your grave. Target creature you control deals damage equal to twice its power to target creature and opponent controls. That's a great way to remove things. Just punch them into infinity. We've got Terrific Team Up. It costs 2 less to cast if you control a permanent with a mana value of 4 or greater. And that's just a permanent, not even a creature. Or not even just a creature, I mean. 1 or 2 target creatures you control each get +1/+0 till end of turn, and they each deal damage equal to their power to target creature an opponent controls. We've also got Colossal Collision. It's a sorcery. We're going to put a +1 counter on target creature we control. Then that creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So once again, it's dealing damage to them. You don't have to worry about taking damage. It's also got basic land cycling. If you're hard up for a land, you pay 2. Get to search for a basic land. Put it in your hand. We've got Rhino's Rampage. So it's a sorcery. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It fights target creature an opponent controls. When access damage is dealt to the creature an opponent controls this way, we're going to destroy up to 1 target non-creature artifact with a mana value 3 or less. So a bit more destruction there. Remove a creature, remove an artifact, if available. And here we've got Epic Fight. So it's a sorcery. We're going to choose 1 or both. Why not choose both? We're going to double target creature's power and toughness till end of turn, and then target creature you control fights target creature and opponent controls. What's nice about some of these too, you got to remember with Wolverine, that would trigger him. We've also got Storm, Wind Rider. I kind of consider this removal in a way. Soft removal, perhaps. She's got Flying. Creatures with Flying can't attack you or block creatures you control. So in a way, you're removing them. If they've got flyers, you're removing them from being able to do combat to you and stopping them from being able to block your creatures. Whenever you cast a spell that targets 1 or more creatures, those creatures gain Flying till end of turn. So that's if you do, I mean, there's a few, but not many, where you can cast that'll target their creature to make it flying so it can't attack. But, I mean, isn't it punishing enough? Also got Steely Resolve. Now this one here I'm kind of thinking about taking out. I think it's fun. But I do have a lot of targeting spells. Maybe about 8, as we saw in a lot of the removal. Once those are gone, you can definitely cast this and be safe. Basically, as this enchantment enters, you choose a creature type, and if creatures of the chosen type have Shroud, so that means they can't be targeted. So you could pick hero and have your people protected from the opponent's spells. But if the opponent has a lot of combat tricks where they can target their creatures and attack you, if they have a tribal deck, you can always pick the tribe that they're playing and give their creature Shroud. That way, that player can't target their own creatures to do the combat tricks. So it's a bit versatile in that way. But I'm just not sure whether or not it's helpful in a deck where I do target for quite a few of the sorceries and instants. But like I said, once they're gone, or if I'm not really drawing many of them, or if the opponent does way more combat tricks, then it might be worth doing. And for the last little bit here, we've got the power-ups. So I put some power-up creatures in this deck. The first one we'll look at is Stature Size Shifter. She can't be blocked if her power is 1 or less, and that's what she starts out as, a 1/1. When we power up, we pay X and blue, and put X +1/+1 counters on Stature. So the thing about the power up as well is you activate each power up ability only once. but we reduce the cost. We reduce the cost by her mana cost if she entered this turn. So in this case, it would be X and a blue if I decide to use the power up the turn she came in. So you have that option. Maybe, maybe not. For her, it's not really a big deal. For some of the other ones, it may be. I'd just basically look at the power-up cost to see if I can basically pay for the whole thing when I bring them in. But other than that, I just wait till later. We've got Loki. So if we pay 1 and tap him, when we next cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value less than or equal to Loki's power this turn, we copy the spell. We could choose new targets for the copy. So with all those sorceries and instants, he's a really nice one to have. A lot of them are cheap, so you can get away with not powering him up. But if you do power him up, you pay 4 in a red and put 2 +1 counters on Loki. But we have other ways to put +1 counters on him, like Phil Coulson. So there's a good chance that we can copy a majority of our instants and sorceries. Especially for those removal ones. Twice the removal. We've got Goliath, Mass Manipulator. He's got Reach. For his power up, it's 4 and a green. We put 2 +1 counters on Goliath, then draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. So a little bit of card draw there. We've got She-Hulk, Jade Defender. She's got Reach and Trample. Power up is 4 green. So we destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment and put a +1/+1 counter on She-Hulk. So she's nice. She's got some removal. If you look at a lot of the power-ups, really, they cost 3 more than what their actual cost is. She-Hulk costs 3 and a green. That's 4 mana altogether. Her power-up costs 4 and 2 green. That's 6 mana altogether. Oh, I guess for her, it's literally just, it's 3. It's 2 mana. 2 mana more than what you're looking at just casting her. So, for the most part, it's not too bad. We got She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, because the heroes need a good lawyer. We got Vigilance. We got Power Up 6, and you could pay either a red. Sorry, not a red. You could pay either a green or a white. So you put a +1 counter on She-Hulk, then we're going to double the number of +1 counters on each creature we control. That's good with Coulson's +1 counter thing, with the Feast, where it puts +1 counters, and for the power-ups, because all the power-ups let you put +1 counters, I think as a reminder to be like, oh yeah, you powered them up already. But nope, not in this deck. We've got Shang-Chi, Martial Mentor. So if 1 or more +1 counters will be put on a creature we control, twice that many +1 counters are put on it. So we can get our power-up creatures and our +1 counters going on things to buff up real fast. We got a power-up of 5 and 2 green, so we're going to put 3 +1 counters on Shang-Chi. With the power-ups in this, we need Wonder Man, Hollywood Hero. He's got Flying, and each power-up ability of permanents you control can be activated an additional time. So normally it's just once, but he allows you to do it twice. And he's got a power-up of 5 and 2 red to put 2 +1 counters on him. We've also got Hulk, Gamma Goliath. He's got Reach and Trample, and power-up abilities of other creatures you control cost 3 less to activate. So, not for himself, but everybody else. He likes to help out. He's got a power-up of 6, a red and a green, to put 5 +1 counters on him. We've also got Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures have haste. Really, there's not many in here. We've got Phil Coulson, but if we tap him, we can add 2 mana of any one color. So I guess we could do it to himself too. But we can spend this mana only to activate abilities of creature sources. Really, that's going to be your power-ups. We've also got Advancing the Spirit. So when this enchantment enters, we're going to draw a card. Yay. You may pay 0 rather than pay the power-up cost of the first power-up ability you activate during each of your turns. So if you weren't able to power up somebody, you get to power up one of them for free, which is pretty sweet. So I put this in here just for the hell of it. We've got Quantum Entanglement. So it's got flash. When this enchantment enters and at the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 and a white. When you do, exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. What did I do that for? I did that for some of the power-ups. So if you want, because you can only do it once per turn unless you have Wonderman out, you can flash your power-up creature out, have them come back, and they're a new creature that you could power up again. You could take advantage of doubling all the +1 counters from She-Hulk. The other She-Hulk lets you destroy another target artifact. So, or enchantment. So it's just a way to reuse some of those abilities again. And we've got Ephemerate. Same type of thing. Exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. It's also got a rebound, so we could do it again. So once again, we could do it so we could reuse some of those power-ups. Another good thing about it, though, too, is Ephemerate could be a great way to protect a creature during combat as well. You need to block something that's bigger, but you don't want to lose that creature. Well, you could use Ephemerate to, you block. And then before damage is dealt, Ephemerate, exile it. It'll return back to the battlefield. Or if somebody steals your creature, you can use it to steal it back. And that was the Invisible Woman deck, a little more explained. I hope it helped give some ideas, and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.